Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
It was about 11:30 last night, and if you opened up your door, you would have heard it. That was a collective groan, a moan of pain, because the Grizzlies gave another road game away, and the rivalry with Golden State gets even hotter. I will confess this to you, and some of this obviously is my bias of wanting to see the Grizzlies be really, really good and being a contender for the NBA championship. And I used to love the Golden State Warriors. I loved the way they played. I kind of loved their character. But now, and maybe they've changed a little bit too, now they seem to be complaining, kind of punky guys. Even Steve Kerr, who I've always loved, I sort of embraced Steve Kerr's angst when his father was assassinated. Nobody should have gone through what he had to go through. I loved him as a Bull. I liked him as a Spur. I've always thought he was a great announcer, very engaging. I mean, the guy went from a rookie to being a Final Four announcer in college. I mean, that's unheard of, but it happened. And he's brilliant. But, you know, some of the stuff he said last year kind of PO'd me. This year he's complaining about I mean, I've never seen a group complain. If you get a call against you, my gosh, it's like the referee has committed a crime. The Golden State Warriors never do anything wrong. Stuff is wearing thin on me, but that's what good rivalries are made of. And the Grizzlies, frankly, were not robbed in this game. They blew it. They played incredibly weak defense after giving up ridiculous offensive rebounds. They missed free throws. They missed 11 total free throws. These guys are pros. How do you miss that many free throws, especially when your worst free throw shooter is on the bench hurt? And then on the last play, after another offensive rebound, 2 seconds left, I don't know why Zaire Williams is in the game. He's having a nightmare of a contest. So a little of that goes to Taylor Jenkins for the personnel that he put out there. He apparently has a lot of faith in him. But unfortunately, the dude allows Jordan Poole to go straight down the lane, right to the block, and the slip play, pass is perfect, and Draymond Green apparently called a play that was different. He called an audible because he saw that the Grizzlies were not in the right position. He gets it to Poole, puts it up, game over, and the Grizzlies lose another 2-point heartbreaker when they had a 10-point lead in the game. So that is now 4 in a row for the Grizzlies. Ja had 29 with 12 assists. He was Ja. Curry had 34. I can't believe I was reading some Twitter, reading tweets, and I read a guy who I have a lot of respect for, who puts out, even Grizzly fans don't think Stephen Curry should be ejected. What? That's not true. If you take your mouthpiece and you throw it at people, it's written in the rules for a good reason. That's immediate ejection. It's like the third time he's done it too. Steph Curry, who keeps his composure on the floor, he may say things, but he's never like Draymond Green, where he gets in your face. He's not animated. He seems to keep his cool. But that's the third time he's been ejected now for throwing a mouthpiece. I mean, that's stupid. I'm sorry. It is. And it's immediate ejection. The referee makes the right call, and that was ridiculous of Steph. And I'm watching Pete because I'm not a big fan of the guys that were doing the national broadcast on ESPN.
J.J. Redick.
He's not my favorite. And Ryan
Rucco.
Of all the ESPN national guys, and he's young, he could still become good. He's just not my cup of tea. So that group wasn't. And Pete and Brevin do a heck of a job. So even Pete, who knows every rule there is in the book, plus all the sub-chapters and paragraphs and clauses and everything else that goes with it, he goes, I don't know what happened there. It's a one-tech ejection. One tech. And then we find out it's an automatic ejection if you throw your mouthpiece. He deserved to be thrown out. Boy, was he clutch, though. I mean, every time they needed a bucket, either he or Klay Thompson seemed to do it. Well, Klay missed a couple of games that actually shots that could have put the Grizzlies away. He's not quite as clutch as Steph. And then Poole made a great play because he read the audible and he went right down. He went right past Zaire Williams. Zaire Williams had a nightmare. Poor defense in that last play that gives the Warriors the win. I mean,
I've done some exclusive reporting on this.
Yeah,
This is
okay.
exclusive to Wolo and Friends this morning.
Perfect.
Now, Zaire played terrible. There's no denying that. He did not have a good game.
Well, how about this? 23 minutes, 1 for 7 on a lob that he couldn't miss.
He dropped in a couple other ones that don't even get counted in the stat sheet as shots.
0 for 6 from 3, 23 minutes, 2 points, and bad defense on the last play. But go ahead, because I want to hear this breaking news.
My exclusive reporting on that last play, based upon what he said in his postgame and based upon what Coach Taylor Jenkins said in the postgame, is they're trying to prevent Jordan Poole from getting out on the perimeter. They're playing him that way. So I went back and watched. When I heard that, I went back and watched the play a couple times. It would appear that Brandon Clark was supposed to be protecting the rim while Draymond is setting screens on the perimeter. That might be why Draymond called for space for Zaire to back.
Maybe. I'm not going to dispute you as a coach looking at film, but from my less technical viewpoint,
can't allow a back cut.
Zaire Williams has his hand on has his right hand on Jordan Poole as the play unfolds. If he's supposed to go with him to the corner on the perimeter, he should go with him no matter what. So I don't see how you exonerate Zaire Williams in that.
What Taylor Jenkins said is we're trying to prevent him from getting the perimeter, so you're kind of not shading him what is all that between your man and the basket type of deal. So he's kind of shading on a different side there. Either way, you can't get back cut. But also, Brandon Clark might have been in the wrong spot. But I don't think the coach they're not going to air out Brandon Clark in the postgame either.
Well, and Zaire Williams has to actually, as described during the replay by Brevin, is that he's got to stay sideways to him and go with him, or at least parallel to the block, to the lane, and he didn't do that. He stayed turned facing him as opposed to being sideways to him, and that allowed him to slip past. And it's a great look, and it's a great inbound pass, but that should never happen. I'm sorry. You can't let a guy get it. I'd rather the guy take a shot from 18 feet than 2 feet that he's not going to miss.
Agreed.
I mean, it was an easy bucket.
Agreed.
So, anyway, they find ways to lose, and that's 4 in a row in this West Coast trip after winning 11 in a row is turning it to be a nightmare, and maybe it is showing some flaws in Memphis. You had talked a little bit about how they are taking away some of the screening that allowed Ja to get room into the paint. Although he was pretty terrific last night. Man, that shot that he made to end the first half, was that not incredible?
One of the most acrobatic finishes I've ever seen in my life.
How does he get that much English on the ball?
No idea.
I want to know. He did his job. He had 29 points, 12 assists. Curry, I mentioned, was brilliant with 34. I thought Brandon Clark, other than maybe the rim protection on the last play, 19 points, 8 rebounds. Triple J, 17 points, 6 rebounds. He had, for the first time in 18 games, a streak ended. 0 blocks.
And no blocks, fouled out, too. A lot of those points came from the free throw line. He started being aggressive in the third quarter with smaller guys on him. I thought Draymond defended him well in the first half, but I could see everyone has been lauding Jaren for fixing his foul troubles, but a lot of that, I think people underestimate how much that has to do with the scheme of the team and Steven Adams being on the court.
I agree.
And with Steven Adams not being there, this could be hopefully not a trend that continues in foul trouble.
I hate to say this because I'm really not pointing my fingers at the officials. Look, they ejected Steph. The Grizzlies got a lot more free throws, but they missed them.
They did.
But there were 2 fouls on Jaren that were absolutely phantom, and I don't know why.
The one on Poole where he's going in there. And
he never touches him.
He didn't touch it. What was the other one?
I'm trying to remember. It was in the first half. It was a silly one that I didn't think there was any contact. But certainly the one on Poole, I don't know why Taylor Jenkins rarely uses his challenges. Rarely.
That for that possession, that's a good point, too. I mean, that's one, especially when you're seeing it slowed down. It didn't appear that he made a lot of contact with him. Now, sometimes they'll say,
I don't think
like
there was
body contact.
any contact.
Yeah, I could have seen that one overturned for sure. If there's anyone you're going to use it on, that would certainly be a candidate.
Good news, both the Nuggets, who played without Joker, they were in Milwaukee. I guess they felt like, okay, we'll give one away here. They lost. So did the Sacramento Kings. You know what kind of bothers me about last night? I love the camaraderie of this team, and, you know, our friend Rob Fisher has become famous for these walk-off interviews, and they're great. I guess I grew up in the old school of George Lapidus, who always said, if you're going to be vocal and endearing, outgoing, when you win, you have to at least be a participant when you lose. Well, both Ja and Dylan Brooks declined to speak to the media last night after the loss. If you're going to accommodate the media when you win, it should be a rule, in my mind, that you do the same when you lose. That is just the way life works. You're not going to win every time. And I know that was a tough loss. I know it was a game they probably felt they should have won. They lost it in a lot of different ways. I'm not just pointing at Zaire Williams. I'm pointing at the free throws again, because that is a true flaw on this team. But if you are going to do what you guys do when you win, you at least owe some 2 minutes worth of what you think when you lose. To me, that brings them down just a rung.
It actually, I just looked it up. I was like, that's crazy. And apparently they will be fined for that.
Well, they deserve it.
I agree. I mean, you see LeBron sit there and have to answer, and Russell Westbrook, on the other hand, is the one that has to answer all types of ridiculous questions after every game. No, they will be fined for that. And like you said, deservingly so.
Those are simple lessons of life. And maybe it's because Dylan Brooks should know more. He was in college for all the years. Ja, 2 years, still young. He gets a lot of attention. But if you want the exposure when you win, you should just fair responsibility. You should at least have some answers for when you lose. Another incredible NBA performance. Every night we talk about something that's crazy, right? We talked about LeBron getting 46 the other night. Now he's had 40-plus against every team. No one's ever done that before. Damian Lillard last night dropped 60 points in Portland over Utah in a 134-124 win. That is the fourth time he's done that. It may be the most efficient 60 points ever made. He did it. Only 10 free throws, only 29 shots. He hit 9 threes. He shot 72%. Remember, what was it? Imani Bates had 29 straight points.
That's right.
And we were marveling at that.
Mm-hmm.
Damian Lillard last night had 20 consecutive points. It's a pro game. 20 consecutive points to end the third quarter for Portland.
I think it was last week, Damian Lillard was very vocal about how he's upset he's not considered in the best shooters of all time category with those guys. This is a great stat. Last night was his 14th 50-point game. That's more than Steph. It's more than Allen Iverson. It's more than Kareem. It's more than Kevin Durant. He's right up there, and he shoots 37% all-time from three while taking 5 more shots. A very huge volume shooter, more than like the traditional catch-and-shoots like the Ray Allens or Allen Houstons or guys of that ilk. Certainly should be considered more often as one of the greatest shooters of all time.
You mentioned who he's done more than. So you know who is tied for 60-point games at 4?
Who?
Every one of them is either in the Hall of Fame or will be. So we're talking Wilt Chamberlain. We're talking Kobe Bryant. We're talking the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan. And the only one active who could still get a 60-point game, but he's changed the way he's playing and was a winner last night against his old team, that would be James Harden. They've all had 4 60-plus point games. And now add Damian Lillard. By the way, third oldest at doing. He's 32 years old. That is something else. All right, real quick, before we take a break, we're going to talk National Football League like we always do with our good friend Russell Copeland. Then Ron Higgins will join us. I want to get paid like LSU's legislative auditors pay, or their I shouldn't say the auditors, because the auditors caught it. The financial guy that pays. Because did you see what happened with Brian Kelly?
I didn't.
You've not seen this story?
No.
LSU overpaid Brian Kelly $1 million this year. They sent him too much money in his paychecks. Can we get that guy to pay us?
What are they going to do? They're make a correction down the line?
Yeah, they are. They're going to make a correction down the line and take out a percentage each week until they get even. Isn't that something?
That's crazy.
It is. It is. Tigers tonight against SMU. What do you think the line on that game is? Do you know?
I do.
Oh, darn it. I'm surprised it's that much, honestly. 13.5. Although our friend Jason Munns, who actually finally picked Memphis to lose a game in his projections, he picked Cincinnati to win. He was wrong. He picks Memphis to win by 16. It's 13.5. But SMU's awful. They are. They're 7-13, 2-5 in the league. They've only got 2 guys back from this team. Their net is now 2-11. Memphis, by the way, was 36 when they went to Cincinnati. They beat Cincinnati, which is in the 80s. I think they were 78, close to a quad 1 win, and they go up. I don't understand how that happened.
That's
how did they go? You would think they would at least stay the same.
Well, I'm not, again, I think we talked about this earlier. I'm not exactly sure how the net works, but it has to be something to do with like your offensive and defensive efficiency and stuff like that. And maybe as long as you're scoring points, winning or losing, you might still maintain the same spot. But you mentioned Jason Munns predicted them to win by 16. Ken Pomeroy predicted them to win by 15. So you got 2 experts now that are saying they cover the spread.
So if that's the case, then the Vegas oddsters are conservative.
That's right.
Because they say just 13.5. So they lost most of their team. Their top 2 scorers, a guy named Zerk Phelps and Zach Nuttall. Last year, they were the number 5 scorer on the team and the number 7 scorer on the team. So they lost their top 4 scorers, including their top scorer. You know who he was?
I'm going to guess it's Kendrick Davis.
I would think that you are right on the money. And you know, he's now a Memphis Tiger, which is part of the reason why the Tigers are 13.5 favorites. Sitting in the Family Leisure Studio, you know the floor model sale continues at I-40 and Wooden Road. Go see those guys. I don't know what they're cooking up, but you know they change their sale all the time. And they're promising you right now, if you get this floor model sale, you're going to get the lowest prices of the year. So is that all of 2023? If it is, you better get there now. Pool tables, spas, patio furniture, game tables, including floor model arcades that start at only $1,200. Please go see my friends. You'll love the store. You'll love the savings. You'll love how family and fun come together at Family Leisure. Our title sponsor, it's Homer. Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. I just like giving testimonials to good people, and Homer Skelton Hyundai is really taking care of us. We have had an issue, and I don't know what happened to my wife's Santa Fe, but something happened. And, you know, we had one of those warranties. They honored the warranty. They're paying for it. Not only that, in this time of where you can't get demos anymore, they were able to give us a demo, which my wife needs because she's a teacher. She's got to go to work every day. What were we going to do? Insurance wasn't going to cover it. I'm telling you, to the rescue comes Homer Skelton Hyundai, and they do that for everybody. That's why they get such great customer retention. And, of course, they have programs like they have right now going on where you can get a brand new Hyundai. You can get that Santa Fe. You can go to the lot. That's at Craft Road and Highway 78, first exit in Mississippi, 12 minutes away. Go see Chris True. Go see all the gang. As I said, they've been together a long time and taking care of people. And you can then drive that Santa Fe off the lot and don't worry about paying for 90 days. You got 3 months. That's the new deferment payment going on through the month of January, only at Homer Skelton Hyundai. The NFL and our expert, Russell Copeland, comes your way in just a minute.
Let former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy take you home every afternoon with Sportstime on Sports 56. Weekdays from 3 to 6 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Basketball was born on the court, but it doesn't have to remain there. This NBA season, Hennessy celebrates creatives like Victor Solomon, who take the game beyond the floor. Their work isn't just inspired by the sport. It helps us see it through a new lens. Hennessy, the spirit of the NBA. Never stop, never settle. Please drink responsibly. Imported cognac Hennessy, 40% alcohol by volume. 2023. Imported by Moet Hennessy USA Incorporated, New York, New York. Hennessy is a registered trademark.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB. 800-391-5063 for your free consultation and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing.
But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Forte PE 573, MSRP 21335, K5 LSX 00991 8857, MSRP 26805. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/2023 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Warranties a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Hey, Jeff, my man, are you ready to almost give away some new Kias today to start the new year off right at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
You bet I am, Randy. How about 41 MPG Highway and your new 2023 Kia Forte LXS, only $254 a month. 36-month lease, $27.99 due at sign.
Hey, Jeff, how about that new K5? That thing's awesome.
We got it at just $319 a month. 36-month lease, $31.99 due at signing. Plus, with all your new Kias, you know you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. And if you don't see exactly what you want, I'll order it for you, and you won't pay over MSRP at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Lonely feeling deep inside. Find a corner where I can hide. Silent footsteps.
Welcome back in. We're going to talk some NFL with our friend Russell Copeland here in a second. Eli Savoy just came in. He must have heard me talking about the Tigers and SMU tonight. And we're going to give you a late Christmas present for somebody. I think it's a family of four or however you want to do it. We have 4 tickets. I'm assuming they're pretty good. I'm really not sure, but I think so. 4 tickets to tonight's game between the Tigers and the Mustangs. And if you are the third caller at 901-360-8255, the third caller, you can take your whole family tonight. Have a great time. It's an early game, by the way, 6 o'clock, so that really is cool. If you got kids that you want to take, no problem with school or anything like that, you're done at 8 o'clock. Third caller, 901-360-8255. You've got 4 tickets to the Tigers and the Mustangs, and don't bother calling anymore. We have our winner. That is good. We'll let you know who won those tickets in just a little bit. In the meantime, let me bring in my buddy. That is Russell Copeland. And, man, I just can't wait for the weekend. I was a little surprised at some of the dominating performances in the divisional games, but I think we got two classics about to happen with Philly and San Francisco and Cincinnati and Kansas City. Good morning.
Good morning, Dave. We definitely do. I think when you look at it, the totality of it as far as the playoffs and the teams, I think how the AFC teams arrived to this point is quite the opposite of how the NFC teams arrived at this point. When you look at the quarterback positions, I think when you look at Jalen Hurts and you look at Brock Purdy, I think both of them had improbable odds to be at this point leading their teams to the NFC Championship game.
So which one is more impressive to you?
Well, honestly, I think both, because when I look at Brock Purdy being mystery relevant, the last player picked in the draft, now leading his team to the NFC Championship game, I mean, I think that's just wonderful. But when you look at Jalen Hurts and the road that he had to go to, his record is 12-17-1 coming into this season. Last year, losing to Tom Brady in the wild card round. There were questions about him leading this franchise. Many asked, do they need to pick a quarterback? And they did not. And for him to be, to me, leading in the MVP race, I think that he definitely should be the MVP race. Where he is right now, leading the Philadelphia Eagles back, when many people thought the Dallas Cowboys would definitely win that division. I think both of them have remarkable stories, just different avenues.
I'm with you. I tend to think that the Brock Purdy story is greater, because there's nobody that would have said before the season began, this guy's going to play. I mean, he's like a scout team guy. He's the third team guy. One guy gets injured. Well, actually, both get injured. And a lot of times they wouldn't have even kept a guy like Brock Purdy around. They must have seen something in him. And here he is. He has not lost as a starter, and he's made it all the way to the conference championship game. That's incredible. Jalen Hurts, though, I'm with you. I think people forget this story. Jalen Hurts does a heck of a job as the starting quarterback at Alabama. And then in comes Tua, and he loses his job. And in fact, because he loses the job, he was a great teammate, by the way, when he lost the job, never complained, nothing. But then he transfers to Oklahoma and does great at Oklahoma and then gets drafted. And then his rise is, I think, a little unexpected too, not like Brock Purdy's, but and I think he's become the better quarterback over Tua, and it makes Nick Saban look like maybe he made the wrong decision.
And what's really ironic that both of these football players face one another. You talked about Jalen Hurts going to Oklahoma and leading them, to a bowl game, but they faced off in 2019, both of them, and Jalen Hurts outdueled him. But what a great performance by both of them. Purdy had 6 overall touchdowns, and Hurts had 5 overall touchdowns, and that was a tremendous game. But Hurts and Oklahoma won that game 42-41, and I don't think many people would have thought 3-4 years later that they would be leading their football teams to the NFC Championship game. What a great story for both.
So were you surprised at all by the dominance that Cincinnati had going to your ballpark in Buffalo in the snow? Of course, they're both cold weather cities, but most of the time that's Buffalo's weather more than it is Cincinnati's. And it wasn't even a close game. And what has happened this year to Josh Allen?
I was totally surprised, Dave, with the domination, because coming into the football game, you look at the Cincinnati Bengals on the offensive line. I was hoping that the Buffalo Bills could exploit that with their front seven, and it just shows the vulnerability of their front seven and not having Von Miller, because they were not able to put pressure on Joe Burrow. And if you can't put pressure on Joe Burrow, he's definitely going to pick you apart. But I think what was ironic and crazy for me is that the Bengals used the weather for their advantage. They were able to run the football with their backup offensive linemen. They didn't have to move a lot side to side. They were able to get in front of the defenders, and their running back for the second time this season got 100 yards. So they were able to have balance. And Josh Allen, I'm not going to put excuses on the elbow, but he has thrown too many interceptions, and I don't think that's the elbow. I think it's indecisiveness. I think he thinks that he can make every throw, and he threw 14 interceptions this season, and that is a problem. As good as Josh Allen is, and he makes you say, whoa, he has to be able to take care of the football, and that was very disappointing. Not being able to score but 10 points was disappointing for the Buffalo fans, for me, and also, when you look at that area, because I think last year and this year was an opportunity for them to get to the Super Bowl.
Do Do you think he's maybe hurt? I've heard that speculation. Do you think the loss of Brian Daboll to the New York Giants, who was Allen's mentor, sort of, is that the reason that he took a step back this year? What do you think it is?
I think it could be a part of it, Dave. If you remember before the season started, I said that we're going to be able to see how Josh Allen, when he has a bad game and not having Brian Daboll, how is he going to be able to respond? Because if you look at the first couple of years, Josh Allen was mediocre. And I think that has something to do with it. You have to have that offensive coordinator, that quarterback's coach, or that coach to be able to calm down a franchise type of quarterback. And I don't think he had that. And also, under Dorsey, I don't think they had the balance. I think they definitely missed Brian Daboll, and we see the job that he did with the New York Giants.
Yeah. I think there's some of that. I don't think he's 100% healthy, but it's certainly not the same Josh Allen that we saw a year ago. What about the Cowboys in San Francisco? 2 first-half picks that Dak Prescott throws, then you lose Tony Pollard to a gruesome injury, and you got to wonder about Dak now. Is he an elite quarterback, or did the Cowboys overpay him?
I think he's a good quarterback. I now put him in the conversation for me, Kirk Cousins and Jimmy G. I think he can get you to the playoffs, but when the bright lights come on, with the performance that he had Sunday, I'm not sure if he can lead a football team to the conference championship and to the Super Bowl. He's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's an elite quarterback that can lead your football team. And did they overpay him? No, because that's what the market is. What the market has been set, I think it was time for him to get paid. And at that point in time, I think he paid $40 million. Come on, Dave, when you look at the quarterbacks, how much they get paid, you could have a question. All of them can get paid. Look at David Carr, man. David Carr in 2017 set the market. The highest paid quarterback in the history of the National Football League with no playoff wins and no playoff victories. Kirk Cousins is 6th all time as far as money that's being earned. So that's where the market is at the quarterbacks. But right now there's more questions than answers with Dak Prescott leading forward. And they're on the hook. They're on the hook with him because he has 2 years remaining, and next year is the only year that's guaranteed. And let me throw something out at you real fast. What about a trade? Could the Cowboys come up with some trade to get Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay? I'm just going to let that marinate for the listeners right now. That would be something.
What would you really want what is he? He'll be 40, I think, next football season. You want a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, who, by the way, didn't look so good in his last game, as opposed to a Dak Prescott who should be in his prime?
I would. Aaron Rodgers won a championship. Who did he win a championship with? He won it with Coach Mike McCarthy. If you look at the offensive weapons with Tony Pollard, even though he's coming from injury, Ezekiel Elliott probably will sign back with that offensive line, and who knows who they'll go out and get in free agency to go with CeeDee Lamb and some other wide receivers. I would take a chance and put together a package, much like the L.A. Rams did, trading off young Goff to the Detroit Lions
to get Stafford
and bringing Matthew Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
I would make that. And I understand, Dave, that a lot of teams don't want to trade within a division in the conference. It has been done. You saw the Texans do it with the Browns, and you saw the Detroit Lions do it with the LA Rams. So I'm just going to let that marinate, but I definitely would take that jump because there's no any other quarterbacks that's out there to trade him for, so you're stuck. So he has to be to make that step.
I'm just trying to remember, though. Didn't Aaron Rodgers, isn't he the reason McCarthy was let go by Green Bay?
I don't think he's the reason. I think when you look at it, I think it was just time for Coach Mike McCarthy to part ways. Sometimes it's like that. We saw that in Philadelphia with Andy Reid. It was time to part ways.
Yeah.
He had done all he could do, and he parted ways, and he went somewhere else. Sometimes it gets like that. But I heard Aaron Rodgers say earlier this year he was very glad to talk to Coach Mike McCarthy, and he said he almost followed him to Dallas. He said that early in the year when they were playing. So that's just something to marinate on. I don't know if it's probable, but it is plausible.
Well, if I were Green Bay, I think I'd look at that trade because then you have a quarterback battle with Prescott and with Jordan Love, and let's see who wins. Although you have to pay a lot of money to Prescott, that is for sure. All right, so here we go. The best quarterback in the game, in my opinion, is still Patrick Mahomes. A lot of people are saying the best quarterback in the game right now, especially because of Mahomes' high ankle sprain, is Joe Burrow. That game is pretty cool. That is, Cincinnati has won 3 in a row now over the Kansas City Chiefs. They can't keep winning all the time that way, it would seem to me, even though the game is in Kansas City. Now the Chiefs, that line has gone back and forth. I've seen the Bengals as the favorite as much as 2 points. Now the Chiefs today, this just happened. Now the Chiefs are 1-point favorites. Maybe they all saw that Mahomes wasn't limping in his press conference. I don't know. That's crazy. What do you think of this one? How do you break it down?
Well, Dave, I love Joe Burrow. Cool Joe Burrow. I love, how he plays the game. But the best quarterback in the National Football League is Patrick Mahomes. This is his 5th straight AFC Championship game. He's won a Super Bowl, and he's been to another one. But I definitely love what Joe Burrow is doing. Patrick Mahomes is hearing the whispers. He's hearing the footsteps about Joe Burrow. And if anyone is wanting to bet against Patrick Mahomes because of his ankle injury, I think that would be a mistake. I think when you look at him, if there's any quarterback that can play with a banged-up ankle, it's him. He has the baseball pedigree. He can throw from different angles. That's not going to be the issue unless someone falls on him, unless someone, tackles him and twists it up. But I think he'll be able to play with his ankle. I think it's going to come down to the trenches for me. I think which one of these offensive lines can protect their quarterback. And I think the Achilles heel for the Cincinnati Bengals, even though they only had 1 sack against the Buffalo Bills, who were not able to get to him, I think it's going to often be the Achilles heel. I love this defense, much more improved by Spagnuolo. They're 11th overall this year. I like the Kansas City Chiefs at home, but they're going to have to be able to put pressure on Burrow. If not, Jamar Chase will eat them alive. The first game he played, remember, 11 catches, 266 yards, 3 touchdowns. But I'm going with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I just can't see Joe Burrow and the Bengals beating them 4 straight.
I tend to think that is right. The one thing that worries me is Mahomes and that ankle, but he sure looked good yesterday. One of the most amazing stats, too, is that in all this run, 5 straight AFC championship games, as you've said, the guy's never played a road game. Patrick Mahomes has never had a playoff road game. That's amazing.
Dominating. Total dominance. But I tell you what, the Bengals have been putting a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks in the playoffs. They've been pressuring the quarterback on drop back 36% of the time. You pressure Patrick Mahomes, he'll definitely make you pay. I'm just looking forward to it. I'm just looking forward in the trenches, not the quarterback, just the trenches. Who can put pressure on the opposition's quarterback?
All right, Russell Copeland, that's the AFC. The NFC game is in Philly. And that game has Brock Purdy, the story we've been talking about. In this game, Philly's 2.5-point favorites, which, McCaffrey's kind of banged up. I think that is a gentle line. I think 2.5 is not much, really. How do you break this thing down?
Well, both of these teams are evenly matched, Dave. If you look at the Niners offensively, they're 5th. Defensively, they have the number 1 overall defense. And then for the Eagles offensively, they're 3. Defense, they're number 2. If everything is equal, everything is even, because I think they're going to be going back and forth. They match up so well on both sides of the football. I think the difference maker is going to be Jalen Hurts. You look at the games that he missed, and you look at how he came back in the championship game, last week's playoff game, and how he played the entire year. He's definitely a difference maker. He gives San Francisco a lot more to have to deal with. He's much better than Dak Prescott. I think they have more overall weapons than the Dallas Cowboys. And defensively, I think they can play as well as the Dallas Cowboys. I like them in a tough game, but give me the Philadelphia Eagles because of Jalen Hurts. He's a difference maker.
I can't deny that. Here's to me. The one way I think Brock Purdy, who's a manager of the game, the way I think they can beat Philly is if he is given some time. Now, they came at him last week, and it bothered him early, and he recovered in the second half. In fact, in the 2 playoff games, he's had really good second halves, bad first halves. If he's got time, I think they can be in it. San Francisco's defense is terrific. It's going to be a great game. They're both going to be great games.
It is.
Russell, we'll have a Super Bowl to talk about next week.
We definitely will. But one thing about Purdy, 0 touchdowns last week. I think that's the difference. They got it with McCaffrey later on in the game. He's going to have to be able to throw more than 0. He's going to have at least a couple of touchdowns if they're going to win the game.
I think that is fair for sure. Thank you, my buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That is our man. That is Russell Copeland on the National Football League. He's brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team, and I know Matt is really proud to sponsor Russell because he loves the Tigers, and you couldn't get much better than Russell with the Tigers. The number that you call is 901-386-GUR if you want protection the old-fashioned way. In other words, Matt and his team, Andrew, Heath, Grant, Matt, of course, if you would like protection the right way, call 901-386-GUR 4777 because they're big supporters of the Tigers. And I'm talking if you want life insurance, if you want a home program, if you want auto insurance, Matt and his team get to know you and your family, what your budget is, what's really important to protect, and they do the job. Same thing with small to mid-sized businesses. That's their specialty. If you're looking for commercial insurance, he'll get to know your company, your personnel, what your assets are, what you want to protect. They'll focus you down the road 10 years and then protect you the right way. That's the Eflin Insurance Team. They do insurance the collaborative way, and they always take care of you. We're back in just a minute. We'll head to Baton Rouge. We'll talk some SEC basketball and some more with our SEC historian, Ron Higgins. He comes your way in just a minute.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, fellas. Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. And I want to thank all of you who came to see us at Russell Brothers so that Christmas would be very special for your lady. Thank you for the confidence and trust that so many of you have placed in Russell Brothers for over 38 years. And we're going to work even harder in 2023 to let you know how important you are. Whether you just need a simple battery or a $20,000 diamond ring, you will receive the very best in beauty, quality, service, and value. Our exquisite gemstones, our fashionable designs, our huge array of fine jewelry will dazzle you and will help make you a hero. And when you want to let her know how very extraordinary she is, we invite you to come and see us at Russell Brothers Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins, or visit us at russellbrothersfinejewelers.com. After all, doesn't she deserve the very best?
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Is your check engine light on? Let our professional parts people scan and diagnose the problem for free. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A good friend of mine told me about this awesome place for lunch.
Oh, yeah? What's the name?
Neil's Grill and Bar, where the fat man rocks. Everybody knows Neil.
Where's it located?
It's located in Yorkshire Square off Quince.
And what's it like?
The best lunch place in Memphis. You know, like real mashed potatoes and gravy. Everything is made from scratch. Monday through Friday, daily lunch specials like Monday baked chicken, Italian Tuesday, spaghetti, ravioli, Italian spinach, delicious fried catfish, fried chicken livers every Wednesday, Friday, Salisbury steak, barbecue chicken, or if you just want a vegetable plate, the best veggies in town.
What about the lunch price?
Meat and 2 veggies, $8.95. Meat and 3 veggies, $10.95. And veggie plate, $9.95. Big fat boy portions, man.
Man, you're making me hungry.
Come hear the best live local music at Neil's. Eddie Smith plays Sundays 5 to 9, Mondays karaoke, Tuesdays Debbie Jameson, Wednesdays Elmo and the Shades, Thursdays John Williams and the A440 Band at Neil's.
Where the fat man rocks.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in. We cruise through our final segment here. We're trying to get a hold of our man, Ron Higgins. I talked to him earlier this morning down in Baton Rouge. He has a habit of sometimes forgetting his phone. But hopefully we'll get in touch with him because there was a lot of action last night. I do want to give a shout-out to an athlete that many, many years ago I called his games. And it's hard to believe, but Vincent Beck, who was a member of the Memphis Storm and has been the longtime coach at MUS, is turning 60 years old today. I don't know how that is possible, but Vinny Beck, 6 years. Just to let you know how good an athlete Vincent Beck is. So he's originally from Scotland. Now he's a Memphian. He's been here forever, married a beautiful young lady. And we were taking on, it was in Canton, Ohio, in the playoffs. We had an off day between games in the series. And so we all decided to go play golf. Vinny from Scotland was a pretty good golfer, right? Birthplace of golf, played them all. He's a left-hander. We go to the golf course. We all got to rent clubs. This was a, last-second deal. We're wearing gym shoes and stuff. And they go, well, we don't have any left-handed clubs. The guy played right-handed and beat all of us. That's how good an athlete Vincent Beck was, and I'm sure still is. Happy 60th birthday to Vinny Beck today. In the meantime, to Baton Rouge we go, and I just want to know how, like, LSU's a really good academic institution. I'm sure they do math well there, and they probably do finance degrees. How do you overpay a guy like Brian Kelly, your football coach, $1 million? How does that happen, Ron Higgins?
Well, there was a clause in his contract that he got paid extra for dancing skills.
Ha!
So, that happens. I guess all these coaches have business managers. He thought they would notice it. I was just telling my wife. I said, I guess when you make that much money, you're so rich, you never really look at your checking account to know really how much is in it. As far as, is that unusual to have that amount or not? So I guess when you're that rich, you don't really notice. You just kind of okay,
right. You know what? When you're that rich and you're getting that much money in, you probably don't look at the pay stubs.
Exactly.
So seriously, like, he probably didn't realize. I don't know how much extra money that would be monthly you'd be getting, but I can understand how he would accept that and not know. But a pretty savvy legislative auditor found it. And what are they going to do? Deduct a percentage of money out each month till they're even?
I guess so. Yeah, but he'll probably make it up in bonuses anyway. But if somebody had extra money in your account or my account, we'd go, hey, what's going on here? Am I lucky or what? Yeah, but yeah, so they'll pay it back.
Speaking of football coaches and money, Josh Heupel, 2 years and gets a $4 million raise from $5 to $9 million. Does that surprise you at all?
No, Tennessee's so happy to win like that. They feel like they got a guy who's stable, who's it's building a program for the long haul and not for a one-year wonder. He's like a stable guy. Doing a good job, and and I think what he started out like a $4 million, he went to $5 million or something like that. Now he jumped to $9 million. You can demand that these days. Coaches can demand that because they'll jump too if they find the right spot. The whole thing is somebody like Josh Heupel. I don't know what he would jump to as far as another job, because like something like Brian Kelly is a rarity, where when you have a coach from a major program that's pretty good jump to another major program that's pretty good. That's a rarity. So I don't know who would steal Josh Heupel or try to.
Sure. the one only school that I can think of would be Oklahoma, right?
Oklahoma or Nebraska. He would never go to Nebraska. He wouldn't go to Nebraska.
No, but you go to Oklahoma because that's your alma mater. That's the only one.
Yeah. So good for him. But they had a great year. They'll be pretty good again. and that's what you want. You want somebody who can build some consistency.
So if we throw Saban and Kirby Smart out, okay, how would you rank the next top 3 coaches in the SEC football?
That's a good question. I mean, thought about that. Probably, I'd say Kelly and Heupel be right there.
Right. I agree with that.
Let's see. Look in my head.
Pittman's had problems this year at Arkansas. He's lost so many people in the portal. Lane Kiffin, I think you might have to throw in there, but I thought they underachieved at the end of the year.
I'd say Kentucky, and I know they didn't have the great year.
You say Stoops, huh?
They got killed by injuries. They got decimated by injuries. I mean, I'm not taking into account Hugh Freeze hadn't started yet. Hugh Freeze will jump up that chart really quick.
So you think that he will be in that grouping behind Saban and Smart within the next couple of years?
I mean, I think Hugh's a top 5 or 6 coach in the league. Yeah, because he'll come right back in and start winning again. He recruits well. He has a system kids like playing for. I think he's a better head coach now than he was when he was at Ole Miss. I mean, Hugh was always this huge risk taker. Let it roll, man. And
right.
And I think he's learned how to manage games better at Liberty. The times I watched him, I thought he managed games a lot better. And understanding what he had on hand talent-wise and what he could get away with. Maybe he goes back to his old ways. Now he's at Auburn and will have more talent, but I think he will have an impact. Yeah, I definitely do.
Basketball. Brett Norsworthy's on this show every week. He's another SEC historian. He pointed out if you looked at the coaches in the SEC in the year 1996, you'd be astounded how good all those coaches were. He now looks at the coaches in 2022-23, and he goes, it's nowhere near. The drop-off in coaching in the SEC in this era is inferior. Do you buy that?
Yeah, I'd say, well, yeah, because in '96 you had guys like Pitino and Nolan in the league.
Exactly.
I mean, that's hard to beat Hall of Fame guys. I think Dale was out of the league by then. I think who Auburn had. I mean, Florida had Donovan.
I think Dale might have been there in '96.
Yeah, I think Florida had Donovan, I believe, by then, and that ran around then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think it is a hell of a. That's a hell of a league. I mean now.
But you still have 3 guys for sure that are going to be Hall of Famers, unless the NCAA keeps Bruce Pearl out. But the guy's a Hall of Fame coach. So is Calipari. He's already in the Hall of Fame. And Rick Barnes is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
After that, let's see. Musselman's a pretty good coach in my estimation.
Yeah, I think Musselman's a good coach. I think Nate Oates is a good coach. He's a little bit of a jerk, but it's okay.
Well, forget the jerky part. I think coaches have to be good on both sides of the floor. I mean, the guy's a great offensive coach, but I don't know much about his defense. That's the problem I think that Alabama's going to have in advancing a long way.
Well, I mean, defensively, I'm trying to think that they've gotten any better. Yeah, I mean,
they were lucky to beat State last night, honestly.
Yeah, that was one of their worst games of the year. Yeah, I'd say that was by far one of their worst games of the year. There's no doubt about that. I mean, that was unusual for them. Yeah, I mean, defensively, they could be better. I mean, they give up like about 64 a game in conference play. Yeah, I mean, they could be better defensively, but I just like them. I like them ahead of everybody. I like them ahead of even Tennessee. I'll tell you what, Tennessee's always going to play tight. because Rick Barnes stays on their butt too much.
Huh.
There's no real freedom on that team. He's always into somebody's rear end on this team, always angry about somebody or something. And I think that after a while, that kind of gets to guys if you're playing for a guy like that. That's just the guy's a Hall of Fame coach. He's a great coach, but I think there's a reason why they don't advance.
Well, that's as good an explanation as I've heard. I'm with you. Plus, which honestly, with this team in particular, I mean, it's not a great offensive team.
No, it struggles. I mean, but golly, man, offensive basketball now in college is painful to watch. I mean, I just wonder if anybody can shoot anymore. It's rare when you see a really consistently good shooting team in college basketball because the defense is so good. I don't know if it's guys don't work on their games and all they do is shoot as threes or dunks, and they have no intermediate games. I don't know. It's just, and I'm not being the old guy on the porch saying,
right?
Back in my day, but no, I'm just saying. Like I tell people all the time, I tell guys, people say, "You think that guy's a pro prospect?" I'll say, "Can he shoot?" Because he doesn't have to make shots in the NBA. If you have open shots in the NBA, you better make them or you're gone.
One other guy that I find interesting that I think should be among the higher end on the coaching thing is Buzz Williams, and he's got A&M going now, and they beat the heck out of Bruce Pearl and Auburn last night on the Plains. So that team has found its way now. They could be a factor before all is said and done.
His best player's from Baton Rouge, so.
How did he get away?
I don't know. I guess he just LSU couldn't come up with enough money to pay him. I guess. I mean, under the old pay system of Will Wade.
Well, Will Wade obviously could do it when it was illegal. Now it's legal. You can't find the bread.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it. We'll talk next week. That is our friend Ron Higgins on the SECs, brought to you by the good folks at Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Ken, I always say this. He's a guy who understands the commitment that you are making if you're building that dream home or you're allowing him to renovate your older home and making it a modern palace. I call it renovation with innovation. It gives you all the new modern amenities. Either way, he knows the commitment you make, and that's why he will absolutely pledge to you that he will work closely with you. He'll ensure that you should get exactly what you want and expect quality construction on time, on budget, and 2 generations of Ken Garland have absolutely delivered that. Go to kengarland.com. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And then call. He's fun to chat with. He's that guy perfect for being a custom home builder. Sees little details, the big picture, all at the same time. It's gorgeous stuff. It really is, and he's a fun guy. So give him a call, 751-1632. See what's possible. Get that dream home with Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. That'll do it for us. We'll see you tomorrow. Johnny Radio is next. Have a great day, everyone.